Lynn, and we're basically going to shoot the bull. We're going to talk about current trends, uh, Rock versus Cody in wrestling. We're going to talk about Superman and Lois Lane in the cancellation. We're going to talk about Star Trek and much, much more. And then we're going to bring it on home and talk about what it's like to live so far away from the family. A subject that is very, very dear to my heart. But before we get to that, we need to really just talk about the trends, and that's wrestling. So anyway, first of all, Lynn, what's up, man?
Oh, not too much. I am probably going to speak a little bit louder this time because for some reason, the last time this headset was not working. It was, I don't know, I sounded like I was whispering compared to you.
Well, I talk loud anyway. I get
Oh,
that.
well,
Uh,
that's the problem. I talk
I get
really, I have a really
I,
soft voice.
I get that complaint all the time about talking real loud, especially when I was talking to my family. I'm told I'm screaming, and I'm told that everyone in my family is just so loud. You hear us in any room, and I think everyone is loud too, but I do realize that I can get loud, and you know what, I would say this much: it helps when I'm in the classroom because my voice just naturally carries through the whole entire classroom. So from that standpoint, it's a great thing, but I can see how it can be frustrating with how loud I speak. But yeah, all right, so we'll just make it work. So
Oh, I didn't say I was frustrated. I just said no one could hear me. You're fine. You're projecting. You sound like a theatrical superstar just projecting that voice. I'm working on it today. But the first thing we said The Rock versus Cody. We said Star Trek, Superman, and Lois canceled. But I think the thing that's near and dear to your heart is The Rock versus Cody, Roman Reigns, and what's the guy's name? Seth Franklin freaking
yeah,
Rollins.
freaking going. Hey, I think I got. Is this Samuel? I think this is actually one of my students. Hey, what's going? How are you? He says, I'm doing great, man. I hope you're doing well. You should be asleep, actually.
Well, hello,
You should be getting ready
man.
for bed, man. But thanks for clicking in. You know what, Lynn? He's actually is a wrestling fan, and he's actually is a football fan too.
Okay.
If this is what I think it is. So yeah,
Wait,
but
wait.
he's a big
Football or football?
American football,
Okay.
and
All right.
he's a
Yeah.
big, strong guy. Man, he two sports or two subjects very dear to my heart, and so. But Lynn, you actually don't watch wrestling. What made you come back to wrestling in the first place?
Okay, all right. So years and years ago, I was a huge wrestling fan. I even promoted a couple wrestling shows, one of which Justin got to be a part of. And then after that, like there was a huge debacle. This is a story that we'll tell at some point, but I fell away from it. I just did. And what brought me back this time is CM Punk and AEW. He's a little bit older. He came back to wrestling after 7 years, and I started thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. If he can still wrestle, I can wrestle. And so I talked to Jamie, our brother, and Jamie's like, yeah, man, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go do the training. But dude, Jamie can't do it. He's had what, back surgery at least once, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it just didn't happen. But CM Punk is the reason I came back. Sasha Banks, or I guess Mercedes Money. Now I watch her matches. I like Sky Blue in AEW, and what is her name? Jade Cargill. So I'm more of a women's wrestling type person these days because I enjoy more of what they're doing in the ring. However, I do like CM Punk and The Rock. So those are my guys.
Man, I gotta say, the women's wrestling is not as entertaining for me. There's some great wrestlers, and when they perform, I do watch it. But I guess
Right?
like the men, so there's some matches I flip the channel from, and I wait till certain stars come out. So I'm a huge fan. Anytime The Rock comes back, I have to watch it, and I watch it what's funny is I watch it in German, which makes also add an extra layer of interesting to it. But anytime The Rock shows up, I watch it. And I always watch highlights. I've been watching highlights for the last
Hmm.
5 years. I can't really get into it anymore because uh, I can't. I used to talk about it every week with my friends at school. Every week I would talk about it, and now here it's hard for me to find people that actually enjoy it. And so that love is not there. Plus, we don't get to see it live. I think they show Monday Night Raw on Wednesday and SmackDown, I think 2 days later too as well. So on Saturday or Sunday. So I don't get to watch it when it first originally produced. And then it's in German. And even though my German is very good, it's getting better. They don't completely take out the English. They play it at a certain level so you can hear the background noise and everything else. But when they dub it over, you can still hear the English and then the German just on top. Now, my because my German is not perfect, I try to understand the German side, but because I'm native to English, my ears are trying to listen in to what how they say it in English, and so I get
Right.
that confusion, and it's like, oh man, it's a struggle sometimes. But I I I love but I love that Germany does dub everything so that people can understand their natural language if you
Right.
don't know English. But anyway, I do watch it and I enjoy it. But when The Rock came back, it just sent chills through my body. I'm very excited about the storyline, and
Yeah,
so
it sent chills to his body too. He had goose pimples on his arm, but people aren't happy to see The Rock because State Raider number one, Cody, finished his story, which is Cody defeating Roman Reigns, and number two, I think The Rock is suffering from oversaturation because you had Black Adam
yeah,
that came out, and I thought it was a good movie,
I
but a lot of
loved it.
people are saying that it's a bomb because it did make 400 million, but it also didn't release in China. And Aquaman released in China, which is why Aquaman made more money than Black Adam.
Why didn't it release in China? I didn't even know that.
But there are a lot of reasons. There are only so many movies that get theatrical releases in China. But part of the speculation was because of Pierce Brosnan. I think Pierce Brosnan appeared with the Dalai Lama, and he is a person of negative interest in China. So if
Oh
you are
wow,
associated with certain
wow.
people, then there'll be some
See,
discrimination.
man, politics plays a role in every single thing. And the crazy thing is there's so many things that goes on behind the scenes that I really don't care about. Man, just oh man, see, I wouldn't even known that detail about the Chris Brosnan and Dalai Lama. I like Chris Brosnan. I don't like him that much, but I'm following every single thing that he does. But man,
Oh,
it's
he was my
crazy how
favorite James Bond, and he was one of my favorite actors when I was younger because like he had the show called Remington Steele, where he was playing well, he was an incompetent man who was playing a detective, but his associate Laura Holt was the real detective. But because she is a woman and he's a man, they went with she created this fictitious character called Remington Steele. And so he ended up being
okay,
the namesake of the business, but he wasn't the person who did all of the work. But I love that
yeah.
show, man. It was
See,
great.
man,
And we're,
I don't want to get too far off the subject. I only knew him from James Bond. Anything I didn't know him from
yeah.
anything else. It just shows my age or I guess lack of going off. Anyway, so you think the Rock is oversaturated? I can see that. I think he is around too much. But I think really the story of Cody Rhodes in wrestling. I think I'm not gonna say Cody Rhodes saved the WWE, but when he came back, it was
Hmm.
huge. Everything was flowing. The storyline that he was doing was flowing. It was so enjoyable, and I liked it so much. And I think so many other fans bought into it as well. And when The Rock came back, I think everyone kind of knew where the Rock storyline was going to go. And so I think it just caused a quick conflict. I just think that if they would have done a Rock and Roman Reigns 2 years ago, or it's almost like the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather fight, it came
Right.
a bit too late. And so I just think that the timing was off. If they do it next year, the Rock and Roman Reigns would be great. I just think right now the story of Cody Rhodes right now is just so popular. And I gotta say, I'm buying into it too. Even though I love the Rock and every time he shows up, I'm watching it. The Cody Rhodes storyline is really hitting, and I want them to continue it.
Right.
Um,
What they need
Now,
to do with Cody Rhodes is just okay. I can tell you what they should do versus what I would like to happen. What should happen with the Cody Rhodes thing is he can win, but he probably has to be a transitional champion because the big thing with Cody Rhodes' story is the chase. So you can give him a title reign, You can let him go for a while, but then at some point you need to have a monster heel, and the person who's next, the next big heel, is going to be Gunther, because Gunther
Yeah.
is really, really
Mr.
good.
German,
Like,
he's German.
yeah, he is.
I
He
think
is.
he's
Like,
German.
I
He's
I liked him
pretend to
back when
be
he was
German.
Walter. He was like, he there's this realism about him. Like, he's a man. Like, he's
Yeah,
somebody that
yeah,
can grab you up and break you. He's believable.
yeah, yeah.
Seth Rollins, not so much. Hey,
I think I like Seth Rollins' style, but I like him as a good guy right now. But yeah, Gunther right now, I think he is a man's man. I think honestly, even though they're trying to make him seem like he's, I don't know why a German person is supposed to be the bad guy right now. Like at first, I didn't understand that why they try to make German such a bad guy. I guess it kind of fits because Germans have a strong accent, so it almost sounds like they be rough and gruff.
hmm
And Gunter does play the role very, very well. But like you said, he's a man's man, and I think because he shows up every week, yeah, he could possibly, depending on how they play it. I'm not saying he could be the next Stone Cold, but I think that the way you know the fans just gravitated towards Stone Cold, even though he was trying to be bad, I
right.
think the fans can gravitate toward Gunter, even though he's not American, just because he is a man's man. I mean, he looked like he can really do damage. Not
Well,
there's
the
not too many
problem
wrestlers
though
that
is he okay, so man's man. I don't know about him being a face at all because he okay, American wrestling is built on xenophobia. So it's based
yeah,
on foreigners being bad guys. So like if you're from any place that's not the United States, then they are quick to build up that USA chant because that's what they want. That's how they were able to market Hulk Hogan and
yeah,
Bruno Sammartino and some of these other people. The
yeah,
American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, American
yeah,
Dream, American Made. And then we have Cody, the American Nightmare. So
yeah,
what can happen is Roman Reigns loses to Cody. And now you have the American Nightmare taking on the German Dream, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
like
yeah,
you have Gunther who is going to come in and basically manhandle Cody. So there can be this thing where you have this guy who is even bigger and scarier than Roman because like Roman right now, Roman, like physically, he's imposing, but the whole bloodline, the way he's been built up as a super heel, a super champion, that's a little bit different than somebody like Gunther because Gunther has that. You know what, dude? I'm gonna break you. I'm gonna hurt you so bad. That's the same thing Taz used to have in ECW, not Taz in WWE, because like he was just, he's small.
hey,
He's
hey, hey,
small.
hey, Liam, that subject we can talk about all day. You pumped my head up on ECW. You made me think those ECW stars were amazing. And when they came to WWE and WCW, they just looked like terrible, crappy people, wrestlers. So that's a whole nother subject, but I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Well, it's
Because
just
I
because
don't think I ever
they're
saw
small.
Taz
He's
in
small.
ECW. So
Yeah.
when you make that reference, I never saw him in ECW. I only saw him in WWE.
Oh,
so
yeah. So WWE, they used to drop the ball on anybody that if you made your name outside of WWE, when you got there, number one, they took your name from you. Like if I were a wrestler, or if I wrestled way back in the day, and let's say I was the world champion of the NWA or WCW or something, I came in, they wouldn't call me Lindrick Collins. They'd call me something like Jimmy the Pickle Boy. And everything got done doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to come in, and it doesn't matter how big of a push I got in other places. I'm just going to be Jimmy the Pickle Boy. That's it. They're going to dress me up in like a green uniform, and I'm going to lose over and over again
but see,
until,
that's back in the day. I think
yeah.
now that's changed just because social media and YouTube is so big until you can find these characters like AJ Styles, for instance. AJ Styles came over and he's AJ Styles.
hmm
But now I'm not saying that they pushing him the way that they should, but he was because he was such a huge person, everyone already knew him. They couldn't really just change his name and repackage him. There have been some other ones you can tell they do try to repackage, but if you are strong enough when you first come in, they gotta push you. But anyway, let's go back to the Rock and Cody Rhodes. We're kind of focused on Cody Rhodes a little bit. So what should they do with the Rock? What should they do with the Rock? Do you think?
Oh, he's going to end up taking on Cody at some point, also. because Cody now is this mega face. And so, regardless of whatever it is that they do with Roman Reigns, you are going to have a face to face with Cody and The Rock because The Rock said that he was insulted, that his family was insulted. He slapped Cody. So there has to be something, there has to be some type of reckoning for that. But I would not be surprised. There are two things that could happen. Gunther could end up taking on Seth Rollins, and then that would give him an opportunity to win a belt. Uh, what is Rollins Raw?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they give him an opportunity to win a title there, but also it could end up being The Rock versus Rollins. And remember, Priest, Damian Priest can cash in.
He
So
has to cash in sooner or later. I don't know how they're gonna push that because I depends on who wins. Like if Gunther wins and Damian Priest cashes in, it's not gonna work. They're not gonna let Damian Priest be the champion because they want to keep pushing Gunther.
no, no, they
Um,
have to.
after what?
No, no, they have to continue to push him because like
Yeah,
he
so Damian Priest, the only person he can really catch that title in is Seth Rollins. I mean, because he's a face. You can't have two. I mean, you could have two bad guys, but traditionally they wouldn't have a bad guy going against a bad guy. It would
right,
have to be some baby face. Seth Rollins is already hurt. He's hurt. He limps out after he wins his match, and then he catching the title. Like I said, they're not going to use Gunther to just for that transition. So
right.
I guess I mean this Damian Priest got cashing in soon, right? Like they say, you have a year. He can't keep carrying that take case around forever. Um, I forgot even
Right.
about him.
You
See,
have until they have another briefcase match. I figured what would happen is CM Punk would have defeated Seth Rollins, and
yeah,
then Priest would have cashed in on Punk because that would have been the perfect time, the perfect
yeah,
champion. You would give Punk his WrestleMania moment, and then you'd have him lose to somebody who, let's just be real, all these guys are roughly about the same age. Like you think CM
yeah.
Punk's a lot older, but Gunther is like 38, about to be 39. I think Cody Rhodes is
Okay.
the same age. So the time is now for each of these people.
Well, I'll say this much, man. Talk about the New Day real quick. Um, man, I'll be honest with you. Our Truth stole their
Hmm.
storyline. I'm sorry. Our Truth stole the storyline of Judgment Day.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying I can't take them seriously, but anytime they show up on screen, I'm hoping to see our Truth.
yeah,
And our Truth, then you talking about someone like Cody Rhodes still is super popular and everything else. Our Truth came back. And with this silly antics, and normally I'm not for the whole silly antics and stuff, but people like that, that's a whole nother storyline. But I really think our Truth is very, very funny now, and he's done a
yeah.
great job. I don't think anyone expected to take off the way it did, and I'm actually
Yeah, he's
looking
Jimmy
forward
the
to.
Pickle Boy, just like I said. He went from being a world champion, run the truth killings, to now they've killed all the seriousness about him, and he's a joke man. That's what's up. And he's a funny guy. Like he plays it well, but he's not getting the belt ever.
No. He's not getting the belt, but when he's there, he's always on the show. He always get at least 5 minutes on the show.
Yeah,
I,
he's good.
I think you have to make the decision. Like, okay, do you want to be someone like I've got his name? His thing he go by Nick Nemeth or something in TNA now.
Yeah,
Um,
Ziggler,
Yeah,
Dolph
Dolph
Ziggler.
Ziggler. Do you want to be a character like that? Where yeah, they did give him a championship at one point in time, but he's a mid card. He'll come on the show, then he'll be gone. Come on the show, be gone. I'm actually glad he's in TNA. I think that he's gonna get a proper push now. Or do you want to be like our Truth to yeah, you know you're never gonna get the title, but you're guaranteed to get TV time.
No,
He's
no, I
gonna
want the
get
belt, man.
TV time.
I
Huh?
want the belt. I want the belt because the only reason, the problem with Nick Nemeth,
Okay. You want the belt. You want the
and
belt.
right,
Do you
the problem with those guys. Hang on. Let me say this. The problem with them is there's something missing. Kofi Kingston, great worker, but there's just something missing. He doesn't have that it factor. And Dolph Ziggler didn't have that it factor. Great worker, but then there's just something missing. So they can be an interim champion or a transitional champion, but that's as far as it can go. Um, but no, going
I,
back to our truth, yeah,
I would say Nick or Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth, he's probably not gonna make it to the WWE Hall of Fame. Our truth is, our truth will be in the Hall of Fame,
Ugh. Okay. Okay. All right. So,
right?
all right. What do you want to happen? Going back to Cody, The Rock, Rollins, and Roman Reigns. See, Roman Reigns ends up being the name I forget, even though he's been the big dog for so long. Because The Rock is a huge star. Cody has a huge story, and now
Okay, so
Roman's
here's my
just
thing.
there.
I love that Cody Rhodes is there every week. I don't know how long The Rock is gonna be there.
Hmm.
I hate when WWE bring these stars in for a few weeks and they're very entertaining, but to make them your champion is kind of hard for me to swallow. Now I'm not saying I have a problem with Roman Reigns showing up every 2 weeks. I think that adds more to the mystique. Like
Hmm.
Roman Reigns, like is he coming? Is he not coming? Um, but if I am going to a wrestling show, I want to know that the person I want to see is going to be there. And Cody Rhodes is going to be there. Even if he's only there for 2 minutes, he's going to be there. The
Right.
Rock, he's going to be there for now. I would love to go to a show. I actually went to one event in Arkansas, and The Rock was there. I was so excited to see him live. It was an amazing experience. But that's gonna be gone in a few weeks. Cody Rhodes is going to be there, and I really want them to push Cody Rhodes just because I want him to win the championship. I want him to win the championship. I want Roman Reigns to figure out what he's going to do next. I would hate for the bloodline storyline to end because I think it has been very entertaining for a very long time.
Right.
I've enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't want that storyline to end. At the same time, just like WWE has a problem with having factions. Other than DX, they have a problem with keeping factions being dominant, and I hate that. Um, because I don't know, like look what they're doing with the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Like the first it seemed like they're pushing them, and now they're getting beat up every week, and it throws me off. And
Right.
I hope they keep the bloodline still strong. How can they do that with them not having a championship? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I want Cody Rhodes to be the champion. Raw, man, it's kind of to me. It doesn't matter what Seth Rollins have. If Gunther got the championship, it'll be really cool. So yeah, what do you think?
I think that Samuel has a message here. He says, I hate to watch WWE in German because English is better. I like English more because English is the better language, and I hate to watch WWE in German because it's not the same feeling as in English.
I agree 100%. Shout out to Samuel. The cool thing about him is that I did not know how good he was in English. Man, this
Hmm.
guy he's great at speaking the language. He's one of the few kids, a few students at my school where I only speak English with them. I don't have to translate. I can speak English with him and it eases my day. But as I told him a few times, like I need to force myself to only speak German. But no, he's right. I'm wondering if WWE actually goes to Netflix, will it be available for us on Netflix, or will they keep doing it the same way that they have it now? Because if it's available to us on Netflix, I think that would be better. Then we can watch it in English, or choose to have them dub it in German. But I hope when they bring it to Netflix, I hope that it's available for us in Netflix. I hate
Right.
the way that they do it sometimes where they say it's going to be available on one thing, but it's only available like in the American market or in the British market, but it's different with um the German market. 'Cause I think there's a couple of movies that's in the American market that are not on the German Netflix version. And so I get so excited until I see, oh no, that's only in the American market. So I love to see
Right.
how they're going to do that with Netflix, and if they would allow me to just say, okay, I want to watch it in English. I'm not saying I hate watching in German, but it's because they dub it over, it loses the like when the Rock's interest come out and the crowd pops, and you have the sports announcers talking and it just getting that whole feeling and stuff going. Because they dub it with German at the time, they have to lower the volume of the music. They have to lower the
Hmm.
volume of the fans, And so it does take away from the experience of like, wow, here comes the rock. And you just get that feel of excitement, or here comes Cody Rhodes. And they're
You
singing
would
along.
think that they would have like an M and E type track. So, like in movies, you have a music track, and then you have an effects track, and then you'll have like the vocals to the center. So, depending on how you record something, you should be able to take the commentary out completely, and then just dub over it with whatever you're going to say. You should be, but I don't know what it is that they're doing. We have so many things
Well,
to cover. So do you what
well,
else do you
hold
want
on.
to
They
say
do
about
do that
the
with
Yeah, go ahead.
movies. With movies, they do that.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the Germans, the voices are so similar. Like you hear the person that does the synchronization for Sylvester Stallone, he
Hmm.
sounds like Sylvester Stallone in English, right? The person
Oh.
that does the voice for Vin Diesel sounds like Vin Diesel. So they do a great job of doing that when it comes to movies. When it comes to live events like the Super Bowl and stuff like that, they have their own commentators, and they're great. They're pretty good, and it's completely as you described it. But it's just with WWE and some other like reality shows where they still have that, they play the English and you can hear the English a little bit, whereas like yeah. Leon, are you still there?
I got a message. Yeah, I'm typing this message. I
Oh,
was
okay.
answering because so we're using our phones right now, and I actually got a phone call, and I don't know, am I frozen? Am I moving on the
Oh, your
screen?
screen
What's
is
going on?
black, so it's like me just here by myself. I can get down.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So did you ever say what you wanted to do with the Rock? Did you ever say that?
No, I just said that I flipped it back over. I'm back now. I'm back after clicking over, and then everybody sees my messages on screen.
No, we don't. We just see a
no,
black screen.
no, I flipped it over one time, and they're like, "You'll see, it'll pop up for a second." They're like, uh, "Yeah." So, what I would like to do with the Rock, yeah, I did say it earlier. I said what I thought would happen, but what's up?
Samuel wrote, "You're my favorite teacher. Please be our English teacher because I'm not going to say the teacher's name is a bad teacher. When she teaches, I lose my English because she is very bad at her job."
oh man. Oh jeez. Mm. Wow.
Thank you. Oh man, you know what?
Oh man.
I
Okay, what
when
I
I
want to happen, Cody loses, Rock gets a championship match. CM Punk comes back and then he wins. Look, man, I don't care about Cody's story. Cody, here's Cody's story. He went to AEW. Yay! Then CM Punk came back. Don't care about Cody. That's where we are. Cody, no. I like
I
Dustin more than Cody.
I'm tell you something. Back in the day, Lynn Jamie and I talked about this with the whole Goldust thing. You talking about Goldust, Dustin, right?
Yeah,
Or you
Dustin
talking about
Rhodes.
the
Yeah,
original?
Dustin
Huh?
Rhodes. Yeah, Dustin the
Yeah.
son.
Yeah. I was not a fan of Cody Rhodes from back in the day, but his whole AEW run
Hmm.
and now the WWE run, I'm a big fan of. But I think that just shows the maturation. And you know what? I would say this much. Before I get Samuel, I'm not. I probably would never be your English teacher, but you know what? I'm gonna always be there so we can shoot the bull, and I'm gonna make sure that you reach your level of expectation. That's my goal with every student that they reach their potential, and you definitely have that potential. Yeah. So then, I think that we kind of shot the wrestling one down. What you want to talk about Superman, right? Superman
Right.
and Lois Lane.
So, Superman and Lois has been canceled. You have season 4. I watched the first 3 seasons. The first one was Freak of the Week. Still great because Tyler Hecklin, the guy who plays Superman, he plays him in a way that Superman is so wholesome. He's great dad, cool superhero, has a good heart. But the problem with television superheroes is they have to nerf those characters. Those characters can't be as powerful. So now you have this new Superman movie coming out, Superman Legacy, written by James Gunn. And even though James Gunn said he could see Superman and Lois continuing for another couple seasons, it has now been canceled, and people at CW are saying it was canceled because they don't want Superman and Lois to compete with Superman Legacy, the movie that's coming out. So they only want there to be one Superman instead of two. Now, this is interesting because there will be two Batman characters. So there will be two. There will be Batmen, not Batman. So Batman and Batman, Batmen. The first one will be played by uh, the Twilight guy.
Yeah,
What is his name? Robert Pattinson. So
yeah,
he's going to
yeah,
be
yeah.
playing the Batman in the Batman 2 and the Penguin series. But also, now there's going to be another Batman movie, and it will be Batman the Brave and the Bold. And you'll have Batman the father, and Robin will be Damian Wayne, his
Oh
son.
yeah,
Yep. So,
Damian Wayne Jr. Okay,
yeah.
all
So
right.
Damian, well, no. Damian Wayne is the character's name. So not Damon, not that guy. But yeah, I know what you're saying. So yeah,
Oh,
he's the character. Right. Yeah. So there, I understand what they're trying to do to a certain extent, but what they could have done and probably should have done is just have Robert Pattinson's Batman be the Batman in this new universe. Because if you don't want to confuse people and if you want things to be on the same page, hunky dory all around, that's probably the best way to do it.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't had the chance to see the Superman Lois Lane, but until they put it on Netflix, I'm not gonna watch it. I don't want to watch it in German. Uh, but I'm be honest with you, I don't like the way James Gunn is taking DC over. I have not really liked anything he's done so far.
Well, he hasn't done
I feel
anything so far. Well, what do you wait? Okay, what do you mean? Let me be
well. I'll
sure
just
on
say
that.
okay. I don't know what he's done, but since he's taken over,
Mhm,
I don't feel like anything has been good. So I don't know what he's actually done. Okay, so I guess it's like the whole being the president.
mhm.
I know a lot of time when you're the president, the stuff that's actually happening when you first become a president was probably done by the previous president. Okay, I get that, but I don't know. But it just feel like I think he at least has made some decisions that I feel like. See, I even though maybe they make as much money as it should have, I actually thought Black Adam was great, but they're not going to do anything further with that. Um, I
I I have an opinion.
I
I'll hold on to it.
well, I just think there's been a couple of things where I've read some of his commentary where I'm like, okay, I understand when you want to come in, you want to start everything new, you want to show that you're in charge, just like a football coach or a basketball coach. I'm in charge. I want to do things my way, so let's start fresh. I understand that, but DC has just been struggling when you compare it to like the Marvel universe in the first place. DC has just been it's been different. I hate that it's dark completely, and that's why I loved Shazam. I love Black Adam because it was actually funny and it had
Wait,
a decent
Justin, where
story in it.
am I? Why am I still black?
I have, I have no idea. That's on you. It's something you've done.
Okay, well, let me play around with some stuff and see. Oh, you can continue. I'll figure it out. I'll
Yeah,
try
so
to figure it out.
that's just something that I feel like that I don't know. So you gotta tell me what's actually his creation versus what's not, and where his decision making have started and where did they end? Because I just feel like since he's taken over, just some of his commentary that I'm reading is just like, man, dude, I know you want to be Superman, you want to be God, and then come to this series and lead stuff, but it's like I just don't like the direction that you're already taking it. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Um,
so here's the biggest issue. I may have to leave and come back. Let me try something.
all right, Lynn just stepped away. He's gonna come back. Let me go ahead and tell you who this man is before he comes back. This man is my oldest brother. He's 10 years older than me. I have two brothers that I always talk about, and Lynn is always it's Lynn, Jamie. And then I have two other brothers that I never really see too much or hear from, but Lynn, for my sake, Lynn is my oldest brother, and one day you'll probably see Jamie too. So
I'm back.
you're back. You're back. I'm gonna tell them who you are. Yeah, I'm just saying you are. Oh, Simmons, thank you, Simmons, for writing. Did you watch the Flash? All the seasons. Like, you know what? I gotta say this much. I think I made it to season 4 of the Flash and I stopped. The Arrow, though, I loved Arrow. See, I don't know who was in charge of Arrow, but those first 4 seasons of Arrow was amazing. And the first 3 seasons of The Flash was amazing. Whoever was in charge of the DC television shows, to me, should be in charge of it all. Because the movies weren't always great, but the DC television shows are way better to me than the Marvel television shows. Whereas the Marvel
Right.
movies are better than the DC movies, but the television shows, man, the Flash was just wow. It was. I only made it season 3, I think, and I enjoyed every season.
Okay.
And I just stopped watching.
All right,
But
Justin.
Arrow, I think
Justin.
I watched all
Oh.
what.
Justin. All right. We got to push back a little bit, man. A tiny, tiny little bit. First of all, let me get me off the screen because I can see me. All right, let me move back out of here. Give me one moment. Okay, The Flash. The first season of Arrow, amazing. Second season, great. And then they pushed Grant Gustin. They brought the Flash in, and I've seen most of the seasons of the Flash, and I saw the finale. The problem I had with the Flash was Iris when she started saying, "We are the Flash." No, we aren't. Barry is the Flash. We are not the Flash. Barry is the Flash. And so talk. Let me talk to you a little bit about James Gunn's plan. So James, none of the movies that have come out are James Gunn's movies. So the first movie that, or the first thing that comes out is going to be a cartoon called Creature Commandos, and that will be the first James Gunn project. And the first James Gunn movie will be Superman Legacy, and the
Okay,
first series after that will be either Peacemaker or Waller. And everybody
okay.
from Peacemaker is coming back, including James Gunn's wife. I I don't know how that happened. Everybody else has been replaced. Blue Beetle will be coming back. The character, Sholo, uh, will be playing Blue Beetle, but it'll be a different Blue Beetle within this universe. So Samuel, as far as like going back to the Flash, I agree. The Flash was fun. It was great. I didn't like some of the. I didn't like when they start to get a little bit of political, a little bit political with Supergirl and the Flash. But I loved all the crossovers, and I really liked Crisis of Infinite Earths or Crisis on Infinite Earths because they brought back Brandon Routh as Superman, and they had Tyler Hoechlin as Superman, and it was really well done. Did you watch that?
I no, I didn't get to that. I never even heard of that. Um,
Well, it was a comic book from when I was a little kid, and then they did uh, their own version of it. Actually, there's a cartoon version of it right now that is coming
Man, you know
out.
what? I think that's actually my problem is that because I don't always watch things on television. I get lost on certain things that come in and certain things that leave.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like I don't know. I guess in America, I feel like no matter what channel you watch, it's like they always push this stuff down your throat, and so you heard about everything. And since I'm more on the outside, I don't always hear about everything. So what I hear about when I do hear about it, I do enjoy it. So if someone like you's like, oh man, you should watch this, and it's available for me, I'll watch it. And so I think you're the one that told me about the Flash, and I started watching the Flash. I enjoyed it,
Mm,
and then
yeah.
you know what? I think I stopped watching it because they only put so much on Netflix, and then when they added the more, I was already watching something else. And sometimes here's my problem. Then I think sometimes once we get so far in the storyline, I could get to the point where I'm like, oh, that's enough. I like
Yes.
I like where these people are. I don't want to. I know something else is going to happen. I don't want that stuff to change my opinion. And I've done it with so many shows. Like I think with Arrow, I forgot who died. I think his ex girlfriend or something like that, the lawyer, whatever her name was. When she died, I made it to the end of the season today, and I was like, "Up, that's enough." Walking Dead, I made it so far, and I'm like, "Up, that's enough." I don't need. I like where these people are. I like these characters that are still alive. Um, and I'm just gonna go with that. I'm done, and that's as far as I'm taking. And I think with the Flash, I did the same thing. They made it to a point where I was like, man, you know what? That's good for me. And I just kind of moved on to something else. But I did enjoy what I saw. It just man, sometimes these storylines to keep a good show on for so many years, right? They have to keep finding ways to keep people entertained. And so they got to keep turning up the action. Sometimes I do love a continuous story, but sometimes I like TV shows where they do a story in that one episode and the episodes are not connected, right? Because I feel like once I lose that trends where I'm like, oh man, I gotta follow this story, I gotta follow this story, I can't miss
Right.
a week. Once I lose that, then I just want to watch reruns of just random stuff where it doesn't have to follow an order, where it's just one episode or two episodes, and then that story is finished, and they just come up with a new story. And they're not
Right.
connected. Like
Right.
Seinfeld or something like that. I can turn Seinfeld on and keep watching it or Modern Family. But when it comes to the Flash and stuff like that, because I have to feel like I gotta watch the shows in order, it just gets to a point where I'm like, nope, I am done. I'm just happy where they are. Um, and it's the
Well, it's
same
the
with the
same
Marvel
thing with
movies. I'm done with the
like
Marvel
Doctor Who.
movies. Okay.
Uh, but it's the same thing with like Doctor Who because Doctor Who has a lot of self-contained episodes. So week to week, you can watch the show, and you don't necessarily have to watch all of the episodes. But when they made it serialized with I think it was like the 13th Doctor, so Jodie Whittaker. Then you had the flux and you had to watch every single thing. And so like if you missed 1 week, you were behind. And so what happened with the Flash and Arrow and all those shows, they just kept going on and on and on. And then it would be the same storyline. Barry's not fast enough. Oh yeah. Okay. So uh Iris ruined the Flash because she said we are going together through this. And season 7 and 8 were just bad writing. And the Reverse Flash, yep, he was shown too much, and they had so many different versions of the Reverse Flash, which got me so many different versions. Here's what I would have done with the Flash. I actually would have changed the environment because there's only so much you can do in Central City over and over and over again. If you put them into different situations, like you shake things up, then you can have different things happen. But it can't be every year Barry's like, Harris, I don't think I'm fast enough this time. It's okay, Barry, because we're the Flash and we'll figure it out. Okay. It's like, oh man, Barry. Barry's crying again this week. Caitlin dies like 4 times. She played like 3 or 4 different characters. Frost. I don't even know who Frost was toward the end. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. And they replaced Oliver toward the end of Arrow. I think his daughter was Arrow. I don't
Oh,
even know if he was on the show. So yeah, it was pretty bad. Oh man. Oh, here's the okay. All right, hang on. Before, because we've actually been doing this thing. I think what? How many minutes is this? I think we
43
are
minutes.
43
43
minutes
minutes.
into this. We may have to,
Uh,
because we said we're going to talk about Star Trek, and I know you want to talk about distance and family, so we may have
no,
to.
this is going to be something else. I like the way that this conversation is flowing. I can't believe I'm actually talking so much about DC. I never realized that I was such a big. No, I think about. I know I was a superhero fan. You're the reason why I am a superhero fan, and so you always been my go-to person. Just like with wrestling, you've been my go-to person. Um, you know, quick back to wrestling real quick before we go further with DC.
Yeah.
And then we talk about Star Trek. You talked about you wanted to try out for wrestling again. You thought about that. Man, I was
Hmm.
telling Samuel this actually because I told him that I tried to play football in Germany. Did you know that? Did you know I played football in Germany?
Nah.
Yeah, I moved to Germany. I met a football coach, and he was like, "Oh, an American plays for." No, actually, no. I take it back. I was at a fitness studio training, and someone like, "Oh, you're an American?" I said, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Oh, well, maybe there's a new football team starting up in this area. Maybe you want to play football. You should call this guy up." And I said, okay, I do it. I called the guy up, and then everybody like, oh man, an American here, he's gonna do that. And I was still pretty big at the time, and I was like, it was like, yeah, you like, what position you play and everything. And I started bragging, like I was this, that, and the other. probably exaggerating a little bit. But I still had the knowledge, right? And so I went out there. I actually did better than no, I did about as good as I thought I was gonna do. But I also realized I was a little bit older. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. That's what I told Samuel. I said it was different when I was in high school and I was hitting people every week. But then when I made it, I was about 28, I think. I didn't want to get hit in the head anymore. It hurt.
Hmm.
It's like I had to get reused to taking the bumps. And I wasn't ready to get used to taking the bumps again or playing in the cold weather and playing in the rain. It's like, man, that's the reason why I enjoy basketball because it's a controlled temperature. And now I got to get someone is literally trying to put me on my back every other play. And it's like, man, I had to relearn to take the bumps and I didn't want to relearn to take the bumps. It just started
Yeah.
hurting. And I couldn't I wasn't bouncing back like I was when I was 18 either. I just,
Oh, there's a
man,
difference. The biggest issue when you're getting older is recovery. Like that is huge. When you first get started, man, you can bounce back. I remember we could play basketball every single day. Then that one time, we were playing basketball in Banks. It was back in, I don't know, it was a long time ago. I hurt my foot, and you guys were like, "No, let's come on back, cause you won one game. Come on back." And I'm like, "Dude, my foot's hurting." I have you know, my foot hurt the rest of that year, that next year, and even now, I can't turn my foot. So I should have quit. I should have gone back. You guys are like, come on back. Yeah, now. It's like 20 years ago, Justin. My
all right,
foot's
Grant
still
Hill.
messed up.
All
You
right,
guys.
Grant Hill. Was it Isaiah Thomas? Yeah,
Uh,
kept
yeah.
playing. All right. Samuel agreed with you, Lee, and he said, you have a point. In season 1 through 4, Barry was a menace that he managed things alone, not Iris and Cisco helped Barry so much and not Iris. So he agrees with you 100%. I think hey, you know what? And I think that's why I'm glad I stopped at season 4.
Yeah,
I
KJ and I
knew.
used to talk about that. We are the Flash.
See,
Hey,
I think
Samuel, we are Justin Banks. We are. We are Justin Banks.
that's Mr.
Justin
Banks. They
Banks.
only know me as Mr. Banks. Everybody just call me Mr. Banks.
Okay. All right. Well, they know
Yeah,
your
I just
name now because, like, you're Justin in
yeah, of
Germany.
course, of
So,
course, of course.
yeah.
Lynn, what's interesting? When people hear the name Mr. Banks, the people that know Fresh Prince of Bel Air, they say, "Oh, Mr. Banks, like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air." I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Or when they hear my first name, Justin, they be like, "Oh, like Justin Bieber." No, no, no. Justin Timberlake, okay. Justin Bieber, no, no, no.
What was that song he sang, like "Baby Baby Oh"? Was
Yeah,
that him? Baby.
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay, hang
Justin.
on.
Yeah.
All right, so there is so much more we can talk about, but we actually got a request. So Samuel, if there's something that you want us to talk about next time, just let us know. But my daughter Chloe said that she wants us to talk about Star Trek. Justin, have you ever watched? Have you ever seen Star Trek? Ever?
Never seen Star Trek. Only thing I know about Star Trek are the things like when Family Guy would make fun of Star Trek, or any of these spoof shows that make fun of Star Trek. I had a student in my former school who's a huge Trekkie.
Yep.
She loved Star Trek, so she would argue with me and discuss with me why Star Trek was better than Star Wars and stuff like that. And even though I was just egging her on because I really didn't watch Star Wars either. Man, I know the main characters. It's Seinfeld. I think I've referenced Seinfeld the most out of any television show ever.
Right.
And they always make references to Star Trek. And Jerry Seinfeld was a huge superhero character, superhero lover. So he always mentioned Superman, and they had a
Right.
whole show dedicated to him being Superman in a sense. And they talked about there was a Depth of Con on Star Trek Two or something like that when Spock died. And
Hmm.
so they made a reference to that a couple of times. And so I only know when other television shows talk about those characters, or when Big Bang Theory made a lot of references to superheroes and
I
Star Trek.
wouldn't know because I've never seen a single episode of The Big Bang Theory.
I love Big Bang Theory. I'm telling you, man, Big Bang Theory was really cool because they always talked about superheroes, even though it was these brainiac nerdy geeks or whatever. They always talk about superheroes. They always talk about video games, and so every reference. And they also brought the stars on there, right? They brought these former actors on their shows. Like they had man, what's the guy named the Reading Rainbow? What was his name?
Oh, LeVar Burton.
LeVar Burton, yeah, he was on a couple episodes. Matter of fact, LeVar Burton has been on quite a few shows.
That's
Living up the Star
because
Trek name.
he's living off his reputation at this point.
He
Yeah.
is, and it's great. And then yeah, and so I only know those references from Star Trek, but you're a fan though, right?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of anything, but no, actually, I watched Star Trek. So the original series Star Trek, I remember. Okay, I can go. When I was a little kid, Star Trek would come on, and then at the end of the episode, when you're looking at the trailers, well, not the trailers, but like you're looking at the credits, they had Gorn, this lizard creature. Now he looks so fake. It's just a guy in a suit. But I remember I was a little kid, and I was like covering my eyes because it was scary. So I'd watch the episode. Then when it came to it, always covered my eyes because like he was just really, really creepy. And so mom told me that Star Trek was one of my dad's favorite shows. I'm like, oh, okay. And I started watching it. And the cool thing about Star Trek, so when you have Star Trek versus Star Wars, the difference between them is Star Wars, for the most part, is more about like samurai. So Luke Skywalker, you can look at him as some type of samurai with magical powers because the Force is kind of like magic. It's kind of like being a cross between a warrior and a wizard. And so you have sword fights. Well, Star Trek is probably a bit more believable as far as what could happen in our worlds because you have a federation of planets, sort of like you have like NATO, or you have like different groups of allies. So at some point, we advanced in our civilization. Like, let's talk about AI. So, AI now is potentially going to render some jobs obsolete.
Mhm.
There are some things that AI is just now on the cusp of doing that has artists worried, it has writers worried, it has a lot of people worried because they feel like they're going to be replaced. Well, in the Star Trek universe, people were replaced. It became a point, or they got to a point in the world where human beings did not have to work anymore. You were able to work on yourself. And so the jobs that people had ended up being like explorers. You want to be a part of Starfleet and go explore the world, go explore the universe, the galaxies, all of the planets out there. And so you have this 5 year mission for the original Star Trek series with all of the characters going from place to place to place as explorers. And that was big for me. That really spoke to me because I wanted to be on a ship and then to go out and to see all these really cool things. Now, when I was younger, I wanted to be Luke Skywalker on Star Wars because I wanted a sword, a laser sword, lightsaber that I could use to fight people. And
Yeah,
I wanted to
yeah,
be able
yeah.
to put my hand, just wave my hand and be like, you will give me all your candy. No, I'm not. You will give me all your candy. I will give you all my candy. Thank you. No, I want to be able
Lean,
to do that.
Lean,
But
you could have Lean, you could have became one of those preachers and been able to do that if you wanted to. You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That didn't that happen to you guys? Didn't they like make you guys pass out or something one time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that. Oh man, that's a story to talk about. But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
go ahead. Go
we
ahead.
can go back to that. So okay, so here's the thing about Star Trek. What happened? You had the original series, and that was like in the 1960s. And then later you ended up having the Star Trek movies. And in the second Star Trek movie, that's when they kill Spock. And I think Star Trek 3 was a search for Spock. After that, you had the next generation. And the next generation, the cool thing about the next generation is you have Patrick Stewart, and hair grows here, but it doesn't grow up here. Now, the reason I say that's big is it showed that you don't have to be a traditional star to be the captain. Then you had Cisco, who was like the first black captain, and he was over Deep Space Nine, right? So which was a space station, but at some point he was given the rank of captain, and then after that, you ended up having like Discovery, which is now. I think the final season of Discovery is going to be this year. But then you also had Star Trek Voyager, and then you had Enterprise, which was the original. It was actually the Starship Enterprise before Captain Kirk, before the
Okay.
1960s original series. All of it was good until we got to modern time. And modern time, there, there's a lot of messages, there's a lot of agenda because like they really want to push certain people, certain minorities into STEM because they want people to see themselves on television, especially women, minorities, to see themselves on television and to say, "Oh, I can do that. I can be this." And that's cool. But it's not cool when it takes away from the storytelling. Because the thing I always hated about TV shows is when they're trying to teach me a lesson. I don't want to learn a lesson. I want to be entertained. But that being said, the first time I watched Star Trek Discovery, you have Michael Burnham, who was not the captain initially. She was actually a fugitive, I believe. I have to who else so many seasons ago, but at some point I think she mutinied, or she was over and attempted to overthrow uh, the captain. I think it was Captain Lorca. I'd have to go back, man. It's been a long time, so I could be misspeaking or misremembering. But anyway, long story short, it was completely different because it was more action oriented. It had more in common with Star Wars than Star Trek because it moved away from it being this perfect civilization. Because, like on the original series, the first two series, the Federation of Planets, and especially like Earth, we had basically reached a utopia. Well, now in Star Trek Discovery, it's not really a utopia. It's kind of like today, a more advanced version of today. So it's less perfect. But then going beyond that, they brought back uh, Jean-Luc Picard. So there's a series called Star Trek Picard, and that stars Patrick Stewart. But they did this thing that they like to do with characters today. And this goes to Superman in The Man of Steel, and it goes to Wolverine and Logan, Patrick Stewart and Logan. It's a deconstruction of the character. They take a character that you love, they break him down, and then they put him into a situation where he's not as perfect or as flawless as you remember. And they have other people dress those characters down, put them in their place, as it were. And so people rebelled against the first two seasons of Picard because number one, spoilers, there's spoilers here. They
It's
killed him.
old. Who cares?
Yeah, no, they killed him at the end of the first season, and then they made him a synthoid. They basically put his memories in a robot. So it was a synthetic body that would live another 40 years or so. And they did that because of hashtag reasons. And so in the third season, which was last year, they brought back the Star Trek The Next Generation crew, which is something that Patrick Stewart did not want initially, but they brought those people back. They told a story that was closer in spirit to the original Trek and the Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it was great. It was so good. I watched it, and it's like, "Ugh, I want more. I want more." And I just did so much talking. I just monopolized this, but Star Trek. I had to explain it, so now it's all you.
But yeah, you have to explain them because honestly, I don't know much about Star Trek. I do remember I did watch one episode.
Hmm.
Back in the day, I think it was The Rock, Dwayne Johnson was in one episode of I don't know what version of Star Trek it was, and
It
I
was the
did
Next
watch
Generation.
it.
I saw it.
And they had this female captain leader. I thought she was very attractive, so I
Oh
watched it.
wait, no, it wasn't the Next Generation. You're right. Okay, so the captain you're talking about, it was Janeway.
I don't know, but I thought she was pretty. She had short hair, short blonde hair, and she had some type of stuff on her face. I thought she was
Okay, I was
attractive.
wrong. It's Voyager. It was Voyager, and Janeway was the
Yeah,
captain. That's Seven of Nine. She's not the captain, but yeah, I know Seven of Nine. I
whatever her
agree.
name was, but I don't know who she
Yeah.
was. Bottom line is, I remember that, and that was about it. That's about the extent. As Ultra Fanboy says hello, and then Sam talked about his love for football. I love playing football. It's just good. Jack is another student of mine. are gonna dominate our football league. I just love to play American football. It's amazing. I don't know how to describe it, but the feeling is great. I gotta agree with them. I love playing American football. And I talked to him today. I actually think I might start trying to coach. Like, I want to get that feeling back, man. I'm telling you something. Having someone that loves something that you also love, it gives you
Mhm.
that feeling back. And I think because you talked about Star Trek, I might look into it. I might watch it. I might see what's available on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Because if you actually enjoyed it and I get to start enjoying it, then maybe that's something we can talk about. I just never feel like there was a reason for me to watch it. It's always been I've been spoiled with so many other shows, or with sports like football. Man, I love that Germany right now is showing more and more American football games. I love it, and I love that I can talk about them with people. I don't think I'm ever going to play that again. I don't think American football, which I hate saying American football. Football. I don't think football is a sport that I can pick up and start playing again. Maybe flag football. I thought about starting that. Um, but it does make a difference. Like, man, I have few people at school now that's really interested in the sport, and I can really jump into it. I If I go back to the people I talked to in Germany, I don't think I've ever talked about Star Trek with anyone in Germany except for one person.
Mhm.
And she, like I said, she was a Trekkie. She loves Star Trek. Other than that, I'm pretty sure it's popular, but I've not met anyone that's a fan of Star Trek. I've met plenty of people that were fans of Star Wars. I've met plenty of people that are fans of Marvel, plenty of people that are fans of DC. I have not really met anyone that was a fan of Star Trek. I kind of feel like this it's old. And
It it's old, but then, like, they tried to reinvent, the show, and they killed it to a lot of fans because the thing about fans is that they're very, very passionate, and they want more of the same, but in a different way. So, what we don't want is for you to take something like, okay, we'll go back to the Flash. Initially, the Flash was Barry and like he had his team, and that's cool. But when it got to a point where he was just so ineffective that he just couldn't do anything himself, that's when you start to lose some people because it's like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. I love the Flash, but yeah. Or you remember The Walking Dead? When we were
yeah,
you remember every week something great would happen on The Walking Dead. Then it got to the point where you're watching it and I swear there was an episode where they were just sitting there talking. Nothing happened at all. Just two people looking at each other talking. And they're like, okay, all right. Well, that's the same thing happened with Star Trek. They took the things that we loved about it and they modified it. They took this society where you're looking at it and you're like, oh man, I sure hope our world becomes like that. And they turned it around and made it a mirror of what's happening right now. So you end up seeing things that or on the news and they're trying to retell that story but they're not as sophisticated as the writers of old because instead of telling it in a way that we can look at it we can relate but we can be entertained because it's three steps removed from real life. Now it's so close to real life that you're watching it and if you're depressed by what you're seeing on the news you're not depressed by what you're seeing on the show. Too close to home.
I think here's my thing, and I'm a hypocrite because um, I am a fan of continuation,
Hmm.
but there's a certain point where I think there's enough.
Yes.
And maybe you should just stop and let us just watch reruns. I think you should always leave people wanting more. It should never get to
Hmm.
the point where you're like, okay, this should be in. Burn Notice. That was a TV show that you and I both loved back in
Yeah.
the day. There was a point where we were like, okay, this just has to end. And I was happy when it finally ended. I watched it all. I pushed it through. I was so happy when it finally ended. And I can go back and watch reruns of that show whenever. But it gets to a point where you love it, you love it, you love it, and then it stops. Now, going back to DC, I hate when they restart Superman over and over again and they don't really continue it. At least once you go at least three, four, five movies and then start over. Like kind of like they did with Batman, right? With the I forgot his name, but the best three Batman movies. They did three great movies they did enough where it's like, oh man, he's to the point, he's gonna barely make it, and then they ended
Hmm.
it, and then they started over. To me, that was enough. I wanted more, but at the same time, I was satisfied with the way it ended. And
Right.
yeah, I think Marvel, all the way up to the point of I think the event that the last one where Captain America died, not Captain America,
Endgame.
Iron Man
Endgame,
died.
where Iron Man was killed and Captain America came back old.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I made it to that
I
point. I was satisfied, and I didn't want to go any further. And I
right.
think now they're trying to get new people, but I could go. They can start over. For me, to be honest with me, they can
They
start
need to
over.
start over. So what should have happened with Marvel? They should have ended it with Endgame, and they should have taken a 5-year break, a 5-year
Yep, yep,
hiatus,
yep.
and then you could either reboot it. You could bring the old characters back for like one more go around. You can reboot it, or just from there. So here's the thing about the shows, like Burn Notice. Yeah, we love Burn Notice. It's okay to have something go like 5 or 6 seasons and then stop it, and then after that you can have like Monk. They just had a movie with Monk in it, and Mom, she likes Monk, so they did the Monk movie, and that's fine. So like you could have done a Burn Notice movie, or you could have done a Flash movie, then like another Flash movie. Maybe like once a year, you like Flash movie, and then uh take a break. And then like later on, if you want to do like an older Flash, you want to revisit a limited series, yeah, you can do that because enough time has passed. But sometimes, man, it's hard. Like, let's just be real, Justin. You start making that money, you start making that Flash money, you start making that Marvel money, and then people are like, oh, I want this to keep going. And so next thing you know, you don't have any stories anymore. You're like The Walking Dead. There's no zombies on The Walking Dead anymore. Like I've watched the show before, and you're just sitting there. It's like, all right, all right. And then finally you finally see something, like, and then the show is over, and it's like next week on The Walking Dead. You
Sonny
run out of
said that he,
ideas.
yeah, I know. Sonny said he did watch Star Trek when he was 5 or 6 years old, and it was great. Man, you know what? I
It's a good show,
guess
Justin. It's a
I
good show.
hold on. How about this? How about this? I'm gonna see what's on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and if they have
Yeah.
more than one, I'm gonna ask you which one I should watch
Okay.
because I don't want to get bogged down with some trash. And I'm gonna choose one, and I'm gonna see where it goes from there, and if I like it or not. And here's the thing about it: with the old stuff, I don't care if the ending has already been spoiled for me. Sometimes I just want to watch it. I'm not. I'm sorry to say it. Sometimes I like to know the ending before I see the show anyway, so I can know where it's going. I like to
Yeah.
know that it's going to end in a way that I'm happy. I'm
Oh, then don't watch Game of Thrones.
I, man, but you know what? I'm never gonna watch Game of Thrones. First of all, they're gonna keep it on. They're not gonna put it on Netflix. I doubt it. I heard so many stories about Game of Thrones. I think Game of Thrones will be one of those shows I probably watch up until the last season and say, okay, I'm glad, I'm happy, and I
Yeah,
stop
you
watching.
can watch it. It's just they jumped a shark. They went crazy with it. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I see.
it's all
I heard
right.
that from so many people, and man, I understand you want to change things up. You want to, man, but it's like there's enough sadness in the world. I don't need my moods to end on a sad note. Now, I'm not saying that you make it some fake way and it's realized. I don't want to think that everything is all princes and pink. I'm wearing pink glasses. I don't want to live in that world either. But I just
I
want
do.
more of a huh.
I do.
You
I'm
know,
just
but
joking.
sometimes I do want to feel a good ending. Sometimes I do want to watch a trashy feel good ending. But sometimes I don't know, man. I, I guess they probably like, but for Justin, you realize we're the person you were trying to reach you. Well, you reach me sometimes, and sometimes you don't.
Right.
and
Right.
and with Star Trek, hey, I can know the ending. Just give me one show. I'm gonna watch it. Watch one season. Watch 2 seasons. And if I like it, I like it. I think it'll be great. I mean, I know like I know the clothing, and I know the guy you were talking about. He ended up playing Professor X, right?
Right. Right.
Um, right? Isn't the guy to play Xavier, Professor X,
Yeah.
and from
Yeah.
Star
Same
Trek?
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I so I know the character. I mean, he's an icon. Even if I never saw the show, I knew exactly who he was, and he seemed like a nice person to be around. But I just never got into the show. It just, man, I think when I saw Uncle Frank with somebody watching the show, I kind of didn't watch it. You know, it's
Right.
kind of like I think it even came on the channel of WCW, right?
It
And
was
when
in
it's on,
syndication. Oh, and to answer the question down below, do I like Back to the Future, the Back to the Future trilogy? Oh man, I love Back to the Future. But then you know what? I like Rick and Morty too because Rick and Morty is similar. It's a cross between Doctor Who and Back to the Future. In
true,
fact, Rick and Morty, uh, it so there was a raunchy cartoon done by one of the creators of Rick and Morty, and it was uh, Doc Brown and Marty. So they did this off-colored version of it, and so Dan Harmon saw that, and he's like, "Oh, wow, this is pretty interesting. Let's do something with it." And so Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon came together and created Rick and Morty. So that's
interesting.
just
All right,
something
I'm
like
getting
that.
my. I love Back in the Future. I think that was probably one of the first trilogies that I ever seen in my life. And oh man, I don't think there's a part that I don't like. I love the I love the endings. I love that they redid the whole Bill storyline in all three movies, right? Like he basically played the same type of character, and but it was funny, and I've loved all the spoofs since the movies too. Like every reference that every TV show has ever made about it, I've loved it. Yeah, I think
Right.
that was a great series.
I should watch it again. It's been so long since I've seen that. So long.
When was the
Hey,
last time
wait a
you
minute.
watched
What
it?
time is it for you right now?
Man, it's probably oh, it's past midnight. Samuel, you should be asleep.
Justin, we may have to call it a night, and next time we probably will start a little bit earlier. That's my fault, but
Yeah, yeah.
we'll do it. Well, we'll say one more thing. Do you want to talk about people being far away? Or do you want to save it for next time?
I want to say for
We,
next time. I like the way this. I like the way this one went. This is straight shooting the bud. Talking about man, we talked about Star Trek. We talked about wrestling. We talked about Back to the Future. we Samuel, thank you for helping us guide the show, man. I appreciate that. I have a lot to talk to you about tomorrow in school.
right, and
Um,
have people subscribe. Tell people about this channel. And you know what, Justin, you should put at Lindrick Collins
how do
in
I do
there so
that?
people can go to my channel too. Uh, okay, so here's the thing about my channel. Since I'm plugging stuff, I have the one I'm on right now, which is going to be my movie channel. So once I have a zombie movie that I'm working on, and once we get the thing finished, if I get it finished, it'll be on my Lindrick Collins channel. So this one,
You got to help me figure
but
out how to plug it in. But
you should
yeah,
put
I
like at Lindrick Collins because or at Lindrick is for my other channel. So at Lindrick
okay.
is going to be that's going to be my pop culture channel. So the stuff I'm talking about right now that's at Lindrick, and the movies are going to be at Lindrick Collins. So two
All
different
right.
channels. Not right now, but in the future. There we are. I plugged myself. There we go.
All right, everybody, Samuel, everybody, good night. Thanks for listening. Man, you know what is one of those things where my brother and I got to have a great conversation. We don't always get to talk, and so I enjoyed this the most because it was something that just us talking. And Samuel, like I said, thank you for always making comments and help guiding the conversation and paying attention. I appreciate it. See you tomorrow. Anyone else? I don't know who else is on here. Maybe there's another kid from my school on here. See you tomorrow. Get some sleep. Chloe, if you
Yeah.
watching, hey, I can't wait to see you again, Chloe. It's been a while.
All right. Well, hey, brother, it has been cool. It's been awesome. Samuel, awesome. Who else is in the chat? Justin, who else is in chat or
I
has
don't know. I
said
don't know.
something?
You do that.
Okay, everybody, I can't see who else in the chat. Ultra fanboy, awesome. Uh, and everyone else that has been in the lurkers, looking forward to talking to you guys again. And everybody, have fun.
Hey man. Good night.
Later.
Good night.